What's up, everybody? My girlfriend had put this documentary, the one on Netflix, regarding R. Kelly, which I didn't put on myself. I was like, oh, another sex scandal, groping women, whatever, whatever. I think I've heard enough of that. Boring. But she put it on, and I just found it so captivating, crazy, unbelievable. In the era of Me Too, there's a lot more scandals that have come out. Weinstein, everyone knows about Epstein, which was maybe the most sinister, wide ranging, but this R. Kelly one threw me for more than the Epstein one. The Epstein one seemed more methodical, more like a business transaction, whereas this R. Kelly one, to me, seems more depraved. The just violation of the super young girls. Maybe that happened with Epstein. I don't know. There's a lot we don't know about both cases, only what's come to the surface. But the Epstein one, it seemed more um, high profile, like a ring. It was more, I don't know, it was like more of a business operation and less emotionally attached. Where what happened with R. Kelly was more personal, where he would seek out vulnerable girls, imprison them in some cases, not necessarily physically, but mentally, with the threat of retaliation, etc. They're both ultimately horrible, but the analysis that went into this was interesting, because originally in this documentary they say the reason why he was able to carry on for this so long is because, no one cares about black chicks. No one cares about Shaniqua from the ghetto got violated. And I was thinking, yeah, that's true, right? Like, people get killed in the ghetto, they get shot, they get raped. People generally care about their business, right? Because that's the place we all avoid, right? For our own safety. That made sense to me, but then it's like, well, wait a minute. Epstein was abusing mostly white girls, right? And he got away with it. So they were white. I mean, they were poor, maybe down on their luck, women that didn't have resources. So it kind of, you could see how people put their own narrative spin on a situation. All the reason why he was able to get away with it is because no one cares about black chicks, which intuitively makes sense. But then, like, you could see them saying if he gets caught, oh, they're cracking down because it's a black powerful dude, so it's racism in that respect. So you could almost work your narrative into it anyway. You look at Weinstein was basically doing this to many rich and powerful white chicks, mostly, I believe, and he was able to get away with it because he still had the power dynamics over these rich women. So I don't think because it's black chicks he got away with it. He got away with it because he. It's probably more accurate to say the power dynamics. I mean, he's one of the most powerful celebrities in the world at the point he does it. He's untouchable practically because of that. And also very wealthy, although not as wealthy as Epstein. And I don't know how much Weinstein, I don't know about his financial resources, but I imagine uh, more so than R. Kelly, I would think. But R. Kelly has much more celebrity power. I mean, most people didn't even know who Epstein was, right? So just totally different situations. But it is interesting how we see this on Twitter, right? Like it happened with the police shooting. Oh, it's a black kid that did it, so the media didn't talk about it. which there's multiple variables to every event, right? Like this kid shot a bunch of people, they didn't die. It was more of a personal, well, okay, all school shootings are personal beefs. But the guy didn't come into the school with the intention of executing dozens of people like other school shootings. They say he might have been getting bullied. Uh, so it was like not necessarily a planned thing. Doesn't make it a good thing, but different circumstances besides just race and age, etc. But people will transpose their racial analysis onto any situation in order to show it as being true, whether it's racism against black people, white people. That's what they said about Cosby, right? Like, oh, he got caught because that's another one I forgot about. Cosby, he got caught because he's a black man. Well, he was drugging. I don't know the racial breakdown, but he was drugging like mostly pretty powerful women, or at least some of them were. But again, he had the power dynamics there. So I think it's important that we not fall for simple narratives like I initially did when they said, he was able to get away with this because he was doing it to poor, young, naive black chicks, which nobody cares about. I think it was more the power dynamics. Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to do it with the kids of the elite because even amongst, chicks from the black community, he would seek out more vulnerable. If it was the chick with an attitude that wouldn't put up with any shit, I don't think he would seek women like that out. But I found this documentary and the story to be very compelling and interesting, how somebody operates this way, and also the systems of control, how he would control these women, how the threat of retaliation was used to keep them silent, and also just the lying in order to cover it up, how he would actively discredit both the woman through potentially revealing personal pictures and videos, claiming that they were just after money. He would do this to the parents. And actually, the craziest thing is some of the women he was actively abusing, he enlisted them to go defend him and actually attack the parents and anyone else that was coming after him, which is just really devious, but also effective, I think, right? Because if you're saying someone's a victim and they're saying, no, this guy R. Kelly, he's great to me. Like, he loves me. It's my parents that are victimizing me. So we see this happen. These are individuals or small organizations, R. Kelly's circle versus families, but we see this in governments versus governments, Putin locks up dissidents. They complain that, he's torturing them. He's cracking down on their human rights. He laughs and says, they're just doing this to discredit me. Well, who's really telling the truth here? It can be hard to figure out, right? It is this is a problem in these sexual harassment cases because you put out the word that women are coming out against so-and-so. Well, that opens the floodgates. That's open season on that person, right? Like, oh, he molested me. He did this. He did that. We even saw that with somebody as low profile as Judge Kavanaugh, where women started coming out. And if some of those things did happen, I think they got overshadowed by the fact that some of this shit was just unbelievable. Like, oh, he raped me. Oh, I can't remember when, how, or who else was there. There's no witnesses. Or they actually ran like a rape ring. That's what I think the Sweatnik woman said. It's just, it can be really hard to piece together the truth. But I think R. Kelly was just so blatant. Even his brother has come out against him. So could there really be a conspiracy that would encompass all these women, his brother, videotapes? At that point, to me, it becomes, non-believable. R. Kelly is not believable. But there are people that are swayed one way or the other, so it can be hard to tell the truth. But anyway, I found this documentary. I think it's called Surviving R. Kelly. There's a first one and a second one. I don't know. It's kind of easy watching, but entertaining. Another kind of topic that comes up is cancel culture, right? I think cancel culture is controversial when it's done for words, for saying something, exercising your freedom of speech that people find objectionable. People say, oh, that you can't get canceled for just saying something that's unpopular, even though it does happen. Obviously, this went beyond just words, but it was controversial because he wasn't convicted. There were a lot of accusations, and they were trying to cancel him off the radio, cancel his concerts, basically deprive him of money, because it was a way of fighting him, right? The more money and exposure he has, the more powerful he is to do whatever it is he wants to do. So it was controversial to say people that really like these songs, you can't listen to them on the radio. You can't listen to them on Spotify. And some people would say, hate the artist, appreciate the art. But that becomes controversial when it's somebody like what R. Kelly has done. But really, there was just all the systems in place enabled the man. Unfortunately, he just couldn't stop, which was his downfall. But the music industry, all of his employees basically enabled him to do what he did. And there was a lot of criticism of the black community, actually. The weaknesses in the black community. Why didn't they cancel this guy or try to hold him accountable for what he did rather than enabling him, if not actively taking his side? So a lot of interesting issues in that documentary. So I recommend Surviving R. Kelly.